All right, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for coming on and being my guest. I appreciate it.
You got it, Rocco. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Thank you. So, I guess like the first question I want to start asking right off the bat is what inspired you to want to write and make this film based on something that really happened?
That's a great question. So a little bit about me. I grew up in Phoenix, and
Oh,
when I was in high school, the Phoenix Lights incident happened, which
yeah.
you're familiar with. Yeah, with
Oh,
what happened.
definitely.
So, and thousands of people across Arizona saw these strange lights moving across the state in different areas, and some people took video, and some people saw it. And I had a close family friend who witnessed it, and I met others who have seen it. And it always was just a really just grabbed me. This mystery, like through
Mhm.
the years, there's been documentaries and TV specials about it. I mean, it's talked about out here. They still talk about it every year. Like the anniversary of the Phoenix Lights is kind of a big deal
Oh,
for people that still, like the news stations will still cover it because
oh, wow.
it's a pretty big event that's never been fully explained. So there's that. Also, I grew up in the 80s in the era of like Carl Sagan and the Voyager spacecraft, and I've always been a bit of a space nerd. And when the Voyagers were like, the pictures of the universe were just kind of coming into light when I was a kid. It was
Hmm.
very. Now we see these Hubble things all the time and this and that, but it's like back then there just weren't that many beautiful images. We didn't even have pictures of our planets until I was like in my grade school years.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I've always space, the themes of space were always fascinated me. And also growing up in Arizona, I think it's a beautiful state, and I've traveled and camped around the state. And I think I always wanted to tell a story that was set in Arizona that really featured it. And then the other element was a documentary I did about 10 years ago. I directed a documentary called The Business of Recovery, which is about the addiction treatment industry. And I met,
Mhm.
and that brought me across the path of a variety of people who were struggling with addiction, had substance abuse and alcohol disorders, and
Oh,
a lot
wow.
of experts in the field. Yeah, and also, unfortunately, some of the people I got to meet in that documentary died while we were filming from their own, struggles with substance abuse and
Oh,
alcohol, and
wow.
some of them passed after we finished the film. And it always haunted me a bit, my experience and the people I met and what I learned just about trauma and addiction. And those stories, I think, influenced when I started writing this script. It really heavily influenced how I developed the characters and how how it sort of ended up working out.
Wow. And isn't it funny because like 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 you said the Phoenix Lights was never explained like what it is. Is it aliens, UFO? Like what is it? And now like the government like definitely tried to hide like UFOs and stuff like that for years and years, but finally they're coming out acknowledging that there's like other things that are in the sky. And why do you think it took them so long to finally admit this that everyone like knew?
That's a great question. Why? I mean, well, I think governments, are are very complex machines, and there's who knows how many levels they had to get through to get that information out. But I also don't. But the explanations aren't really there yet. I mean, as much as
Yeah.
that maybe there's acknowledgement that there's things that we don't know how to explain, nobody knows what a lot of these things are. That's kind of what grabs me about this. The unknown is still something that intrigues everyone. Because even with whatever's been disclosed, it's not like there's a. It's still just like, well, we don't know what this is, or we don't know what that is. Well, it's true. There's unknowns in this universe.
Yeah, true, true. And for your film, like you have like such an amazing cast with this film. And how did you wind up finding like the cast and the leads for it?
Oh, they were so great, weren't they? Hey, um, I have to credit my casting directors for my leads. Kendra Clark and Helen Gear were a casting team that we had a lot of discussions about what I was looking for, and they brought me, a lot of stuff's now done on Zoom these days with auditions. So
Mhm.
they brought me a lot of really interesting. I was just trying to find the best talent I could find for the film, and who also I believed would be the what I believed, like who's the characters in there. And when I met Kat and saw Kat Cunning's performance as Claire, it was apparent to me almost immediately that, okay, I think I finally found Claire. I mean, it was just Kat had a great performance, and then when we started kind of doing chemistry reads and finding who would be the best Taylor, the player brother, McCabe just was able to capture the angst and was able to find that sort of sibling dynamic very quickly with Kat. And then the rest of the characters were interesting. I mean, Connor Paolo was very talented. Justin, he was down to play this sort of boyfriend bad guy but he was so great at finding the complexities in the character, because it was important to me that they all had to be fleshed out. They couldn't be cardboard. They had to be real people with real motivations. Even our antagonists, like Bradley Fisher, did such a great job kind of bringing his own sort of bad guy version in. And then Eddie, who I cast as Ricardo, he's so talented. When I cast him as Ricardo, he then he asked me if I would consider watching an audition of his daughter, who is also an actress, because we hadn't cast Gabby yet. So Adriana is actually his real life daughter, who plays his daughter in the
oh my
film.
God, that's so awesome.
But Adriana was terrific. I mean, when I saw her audition, but also knowing that they also had this dynamic, I knew it would really work. And very talented family.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Okay, looking at the last names, I guess like a lot of people don't put two and two together. They just think they're two separate actors with the same last name.
Yeah, no, they're father-daughter combo. It's great.
And the film basically is about Claire, and she saw the Phoenix Lights when she was little, and gets a tip and goes on a little hunt to try to find the reason on what she saw. And how important was it? How important was it for her to tell that story about, I know what I saw, no one believes me, of course, and she just wants to go out there and prove that there was something there.
Yeah, I felt like when I was writing Claire's character that the obsession had a lot to do with her childhood, trauma, her experience, that she tied to that. And that's what drove her so badly to want to try to make sense of things. The mystery of what happened that night and the mystery of what happened with her parents as a child were sort of tied together for her. And Kat was able to really tap into that obsessive, single focusedness in a very compelling way. Just hats off to Kat.
Definitely. And what I love about films is definitely the music, the score. How did you know the sound that you wanted for this film, the score you wanted?
Well, Reza Safinia was my very talented composer on this film, and he was able to really capture, I think, the arc of the characters and also the spirituality elements I wanted to capture, because there's themes in the music that he built into the beginning that builds through different parts of the film. It gets more complex, it changes, but there's a motif that runs throughout from beginning to end. I'm an amateur musician. I played piano all my life, and music's always been it's just a very important element to me. I'm always needing music. I'm always wanting a music track for whatever I'm wanting to feel or to inspire my subconscious. And as we were having conversations about this, we talked about instruments we wanted to use, to hear in it. And, I would find music as, you have to talk about something that's ethereal in a concrete way. So you got to find examples so you can talk about what I like about this track is this, or what I like about this track is this. So Reza and I were able to kind of find a common ground of what we wanted it to be, and then I just let him go, and he's incredible. He's great. Kat is also a musician, and when I discovered Kat was a musician, and then I heard Kat's music, I was like, I have to have it. I have to figure out a way to have Cat's voice in this movie.
Yeah.
So the final music track, Constellation, the vocals are it's Cat's voice. So Cat sings that, and Cat collaborated with Reza. He also does some vocals on it, and they both wrote that together.
Oh, wow.
The final track on there. So that's actually Claire's voice or Cat's voice in that final music track.
Ah, that's awesome. And is there any scene like I'm of course like you can't give anything away about the film, but is there a scene like you had the most fun shooting?
Most fun shooting? That's a great question. No one's asked me that. Most fun. Well, I think the one that I got to spend the most time on was the white space stuff, and it's on the poster where she's like floating. You see
Yes,
one.
yes.
It's like this one where you see like her body like. So that's something that happens in the film, which you've seen now. But that was, out of all the shots in the film, we spent the most time on that stuff because we did it in a pool. And it was all filmed in a pool with this very talented cinematographer, Brett Stanley, who's just his main, he's like an underwater photographer, like knows how to film it,
Wow.
can stay in a pool all day. Like,
Oh my God.
And we spent like half a day just on that footage of her in the pool, and it was challenging. I mean, I had the easy part because I got to sit with the screen and have a drink, and Kat was like in the pool, like taking breaths, going. But it was much harder than it looks because Kat had to go underwater, and sometimes we had to weigh them down because we had to get them deep enough, so that Kat could just sort of have that position and then not move and hold her breath. But when you have your head all the way back like that, it's actually not very comfortable because water goes up your nose. It's like it's a lot more uncomfortable than it looks. Anyway, but that was fun for me. But Kat did an amazing job with that too. I think had fun with it. It was just in the pool all day, so it was.
Yeah, exactly. I think it looks like we're coming up on the time. So the last thing I'm going to ask you basically is where could fans like watch the film and follow you at and follow the film?
Sure. It's being released this Friday, July 25th in theaters. There's 4 theaters in the Phoenix area and also New York City. It will be in a theater in LA at the Laemmle on August 8th, and then it will be VOD on demand nationwide on August 12th. And you can go to starpeoplefilm.com, which will take you to our Facebook page, and our Instagram link is on there too. And yeah, follow the film for updates, and I hope everyone goes to watch it. It's going to be it's going to be an experience.
It definitely is, and thank you so much for coming on and speaking about the film. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Rocco. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Definitely, bud. Have a